Hi everybody, as you know, my name is Vincent, and I just wanted to start off by showing you something that you're all very familiar with. Money. But more importantly, what happens when you don't have money? Debt. Now, I'm not trying to focus on a certain debt in particular, I'm just trying to focus on that. That there is debt, and it can come in different forms. It can come as credit card debt, it can come as mortgage, it can come as auto loan payment, or a loan, and more importantly, the one I was trying to get towards to is student loan debt. So, more importantly, the relevance of this is that we're all students here, and we all have some type of student debt. Even though we can probably get financial aid, but there's some type of debt that came with going to college. So today I would like to convince you why we should have free public education and the benefits that could come from it with having that goal achieved. So first I'd like to talk about the current effects that a student debt can have on the students, and then I would like to talk about a possible solution to push this agenda forward in the future. And then I would want to finally talk about the benefits of having a free education and then the possible consequences of having student debt. So in today's society in the United States, the current student debt is about $1.52 trillion, which is higher than the current debt for credit cards or auto loans today. So with these debts, these are just heavy burdens on students once they graduate to pay off. And it just shows that that even though we try to have, when we graduate, we're trying to start our lives. So basically, when we graduate, we have student loans, and then eventually we have to move out of our parents' house or already on our own. So we've got to get a car loan, or eventually a mortgage, and just all the little things that come with it, so credit cards and all that. So basically, the average student loan payment is about $393 a month, and that's a 2016 model. That's not current today, so it's probably more today. But essentially, having that to pay every month, plus your, let's just say, mortgage or rents, plus let's just say you have a car loan, it just adds up more than what you're possibly going to make eventually when you graduate, basically. So from an article from the Washington Post by Bernie Sanders, he stated that college is very expensive and that it would take a working student working part-time about a year to pay for at least 1 year at a college, basically. So basically, you're working and going to school at the same time, so it's very difficult for you to balance everything, basically. So you have to work and go to school, and that's just harder for you because now you won't be able to just focus just on school. So that just kind of takes away from your ability to focus on school. And then, basically, if we were able to implement colleges or public schools having free education, we can basically lessen our total debt. So basically, we can focus on getting a place, getting a car, getting credit cards, eventually just a bunch of other things that are essential or probably are wants in our life. Although there hasn't been recent pushes for free public education, there are different organizations online that are trying to that start petitions to get signatures to try to get this petition on a ballot. So the most recent one was College for All, and that was in 2018. They were trying to get 800,000 signatures to get this petition onto the ballot for November 2018. But since they fell short, they only had over, I think, 563,000. They weren't able to get that petition on the ballot. So we weren't able to vote on it, basically. But there's also a campaign for free college tuition and change.org. They have these petitions online where you can just easily just put your name, your school, and your zip code, and then you could just sign up and basically support these claims. So one of the possible occurrences that can happen is, if you look at this pie chart, I know it's pretty small, but on the left, it just shows that the federal government gives about $77 billion of financial aid to all public schools in, or not public, public and private. So basically, this is your older model, so this is in 2012. In the pie chart on the right, it just shows that public schools in the United States, in total, they take about $55 billion worth of tuition from students. So basically, if we were able to implement a system to use that financial aid that's given to private and publics and use that money to basically fund the public education, but it would take away from private schools. But essentially, wouldn't that be essential or something to consider overall, instead of having to increase taxes, let's just say? So I just want to have you guys visualize what would benefit from this. So we're all here today because, we want to have a degree, because, most jobs, require a degree. And it just shows right here that, they're also small too, but in total, about 62% of jobs require a degree. So essentially, if we get a degree, we better have more experience basically to get a certain job. And these certain jobs will, they will have, like lower employer rates. So as you see on the bottom, the green line is the employment rate for a student that has, or a person that has a degree. So essentially, and the higher one is just a student that has like maybe just a high school diploma, or maybe even less than a high school diploma. So then the final one I have here, this shows right here that the income also increases when you have a degree. So essentially, some high school, you make around $26,000 a year, but if you have a degree, you can make starting pay about $42,000. So it just benefits everyone overall. And this final figure right here just shows that with the system that we have now, around more than, I would say, half have a student debt of around like $10,000 to $25,000. So overall, I messed up right there. We have, if we were able to implement a system, it would not just only benefit just us in this class, it would benefit everyone in the United States, because now everyone will have have access to this education. So the action here is, since there's not really many petitions, we can go to the website, basically put our name, and basically support this this change, and eventually we can try to push this by the 2020 election. Thank you.